Hey guys, it's Saoirse. Bet you didn't expect to see me so soon. Here I am. So you might be wondering, why are you wearing that frilly shirt? I'll explain. I was going to say this week, but let's just say today. I'm going to talk about The Essex Serpent, which is written by Sarah Perry. And just look at that cover. It's very fetching. It's very sumptuous, and you can't feel it because you're not here, but it's nice and three-dimensional. So, yeah, I've got my little, bone thing in my hair, and I'm very frilly. So, you know what, let's just start with, I'm going to read you the back here. I picked this book up in North Carolina a few months ago, and I'd wanted to read it for a long time. And so I saw it in the bargain section, and I thought, what? That's like a fairly new book. I'm gonna get that. Because, listen to this, and tell me if this doesn't sound like exactly what I would want. Okay, it says, London, 1893. You got me already. That's really all I needed. Seeking refuge after the death of her husband, Cora Seaborn departs for coastal Essex. Once there, she hears rumors that after nearly 300 years, the mythical Essex Serpent, a fearsome creature that once roamed the marshes, has returned. Eager to investigate, Cora is introduced to parish vicar William Ransom. As they attempt to discover the truth, these seeming opposites find themselves inexorably drawn together, and as their pursuit becomes more urgent, Cora's London past follows her to the coast, with striking consequences. Thanks, buddy. So, from reading that description, I was like, okay, sold. I don't really love, it says, oh, maybe it's not in the, in the description, but you know when people put these quotes all over the back that make you buy it? Like this says, gloriously alive. And then on the back it says, part ghost story and part natural history lesson, part romance and part feminist parable. I found it so transporting that 48 hours after completing it, I was still resentful to be back home. Okay, so I don't like the whole ghost story thing. I'm super not into paranormal anything. Not interesting whatsoever to me. Hang on, we just gotta have a little snuggle. So, but everything else, I was like, London 1893, hi. What's up? I want to hang out and be friends. London in 1893. So, here's the thing, guys. And I really don't like saying this. I did not like this book. I really wanted to like it. I really, really wanted to like it. But I had some problems. And, no, this isn't working. Okay. So, on the back, they also compare her to Mary Shelley, Bram Stoker, Wilkie Collins, Charles Dickens, and Hilary Mantel. And blah, 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 blah. It says that they're channeled by Perry in some sort of Victorian seance. And I was like, say no more. Victorian seance? Okay, I'm also here for that. But it just didn't work. It didn't work. And here's the thing. You can't write Victorian literature anymore because it's not the Victorian era anymore. And I know that's not fair and it sucks, and we can all write as much fan fiction as we want, but that is what the book felt like. It felt like fan fiction. And I can totally understand where she's coming from because yeah, I would love to write a story set in the Victorian era that is trying to emulate that style, but am I going to attempt it? I don't know. It just isn't the same coming from somebody who lives in modern times. Alright. He honestly, is so independent until I start doing this, and then he wants to be right here. So, I had an issue with the attempt to make it Victorian literature. This book is 418 pages, and this is a case where it really doesn't need to be. There just wasn't a whole lot that happened. And you know you guys know that I love character-driven stories. I like character studies. I don't like action-driven plots. But there was not really much action, and there were no characters that I liked. The problem is when you write really unlikable characters, I have nobody to root for, and that was tough. Because let me just say, it's not too much of a spoiler. There's a storyline with infidelity and the main character being involved in it, and I just, call me old-fashioned. I should clutch my pearls, but no, I don't. I have a problem with reading infidelity. I will never root for a character that takes part in it. Excuse me. That is either the one. Got hair on the camera. That's either the one cheating or having the affair with the person who's cheating. I can't get into that. It's not something that a hero does, and I'm sorry, but I like to read a book where I can root for the hero. Please, baby. I promise I'll snuggle you. So yeah, the characters, like Cora Seaborn is the main character, and I can tell what the author's trying to do. Like, she's supposed to be this really strong, independent woman. She's been through an abusive, horrible marriage where the guy was just gaslighting her all the time and treating her like crap and physically, emotionally abusing her. And she was left with this kid who we're led to believe has some sort of condition. He's not very emotional. He doesn't seem to love her. And so she's got all that going on. So when her husband dies, she's like, okay. When he dies, she's free, She can finally do what she wants and be herself and figure out who that is. She doesn't have to wear stuffy clothes anymore, and she can romp around in the mud and look for fossils, which is what she wants to do. She wants to find the Essex Serpent. She's fascinated by these ancient beasts and what she can find out on the shores of whatever body of water she's near. She believes, she's probably thinking about like dinosaurs and stuff, and that's why I wore my bone. But the thing is, the difference between real Victorian literature and people trying to write Victorian literature now is that back when it was originally written, you could not be so obvious when you were trying to write a feminist character. It was frowned upon, and it wouldn't have been published. It wouldn't have been easy to publish. You wouldn't have gotten any fame from it. You wouldn't have gotten any good critiques, because people didn't want to read about a strong woman. So the fact that she comes at us with this character who's so blatantly, I like to dress like a man, and I'm not even pretty, and blah blah blah, that's fine for modern literature, but if you're trying to emulate Victorian, it doesn't really work, because they had to be a lot sneakier, and it's hard to explain it. If you haven't read any Victorian lit, it's hard to explain, but they just crafted these incredible female characters that used their wit and their subtle intelligence to get across the fact that they weren't being held down by any men. And so the whole hitting me over the head with the, okay, I get it, she dresses like a man, she likes to play in the mud. It just felt very overdone, and it kept going on and on for so long. I couldn't, and the fact that I couldn't sympathize with her and I didn't like her, and I wanted to like her. There are things that she said that I did like. I only have 3 things to read, so I'll just show you what those are. She's talking about her husband, and she says, perhaps he dealt elsewhere with kindness. Yes, perhaps that was it. Perhaps she'd been a kind of clearinghouse for cruelties deserved elsewhere. There was a kind of nobility in that, if you thought about it. She looked down at her hands as if expecting the notion to have raised stigmata. So, yeah, like she was basically the punching bag, emotionally and physically, for her husband. And the thing is, in Victorian lit, like, they did talk about abusive husbands. Look at The Tenant of Wildfowl Hall by Anne Bronte. Please, look at it. it just was so, I don't know, it just wasn't so over the top. Like, you knew what she was saying, and you knew what she was getting at, and you knew what was wrong with the husband, but it never felt like she was gonna spell it out letter by letter for you. Just a lot more subtlety, I think, which some people might disagree because they might think, oh, Victorian lit is so grandiose and ridiculous and over the top. But there just were subjects that they couldn't talk about without using, really, I'm going to keep saying the same words. I'm going to keep saying subtle. This is what happens when you don't write a script. Like, I don't want to write a script for you guys and just look like I'm reading off of something. I mean, I'll read off the books, but, like, I hope you don't mind my rambly thoughts. Just trust me, I'm so much better in writing. I made quite good grades as an English major. I can write criticism of literature. I just can't obviously do it off the top of my head. I have to be able to sit down and really think about it. So, you know what? If this isn't your style, then thanks for hanging around till now, and I'll see you later. But I'm glad for the people that have stuck around. So this part, husband's dead. That's at the beginning of the book. That's not a spoiler. And, like, there's all these people that are in love with her. Like, that's the other thing. Everybody's just in love with her, and I don't get it because she's not likable. All the years of what ought to have been her youth, she'd been in someone's possession, and now, with hardly a few months' freedom to her name, someone wanted to put their mark on her again. And isn't that just the truth, though? That's always what happens, right? You get dumped, you break up with somebody, whatever, and then everybody comes sniffing around. Like, they just know. They know something's happened. And everyone's always trying to put their mark on you, like she says, at the time when you want to be independent. And then this is just a short little sentence. It's a poor woman whose ambition is only to be loved. She has better things to be getting on with. That's probably what the line I like the most from the whole book. But I can't understand where she's coming from because it seems like she very much wants love because she keeps pursuing it. And, like, we're supposed to think she's noble or something. Whatever, I don't know. You guys, if you read this book, tell me what you thought. But it was just, to me, I'm not good at predicting plots. I'm really bad at it, but this was really predictable to me. I was, like, going through and thinking, yep, you wrote that because this is happening, that because that's going to happen. And some things it felt like just went nowhere. Like, plot points just didn't go anywhere. It was all over the place. There were all these, like, subplots that were equally predictable, but it had such potential. I don't know if I would go and read another of her books, but I want to believe that there's some merit there, obviously. I mean, it's a bestseller. And maybe I'm just too picky and I'm too spoiled, like I said, like, having read the Brontes, like, you can't top that in that genre. It's just something that I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say that you shouldn't attempt it. Of course not. I believe everybody should write anything they want to write. And am I still going to write everything I want to write? Sure, but is it all going to have an audience? No. And I really am getting, like, anxiety. Like, I don't like to give harsh criticism, so I'm holding back a lot, and I really applaud her for getting this book out there. And I mean, it's so detailed and obviously well thought out. She's published a bestseller, so that's amazing. And it's just not for everyone. But I have this, like, super weird fear where if I critique a writer, they're gonna, like, find me and make sure that nothing I write ever gets published, which is so dumb. But I just want to say, if you ever watch this, you know, people who are involved with this book, I'm not saying I'm better than you. 100% don't think that, like, I'm a better writer or anything. it's just hard for me, you know, when comparing to, when you're saying that this is trying to be Victorian literature, which is very clearly, that's what they say, it is trying to emulate that. When you say that, it's hard for somebody like me to be like, okay, sure, it is. It's because it just doesn't compare, and you can't compare. But again, write whatever you want, write absolutely everything that's in your heart. If you have a story, and this is a big crazy story, but it's not in the sense that a lot happened, really. I wanted more with this Essex Serpent, like the actual title. I wanted more of that beast to, even if it wasn't like a physical beast, I wanted more of the mental toll that it took on people. But it, you know, she did write that, but it just wasn't strong enough. Because they didn't care about the characters. Maybe if the characters like were really, really fleshed out, amazing characters, then I would care more about what was happening to their psyche as a result of being threatened by this giant snake. I almost don't even want to post this. Yeah, I just really don't. I believe that every bit of writing has merit, and there were parts that I liked. And the thing is, even with writing that I don't feel is like strong enough, like the writing style isn't strong enough for me, I can still appreciate the world building and get into a story that way. And she did do a good job of like setting up, you know, London in this time period. And the book isn't all in London, it's actually mostly not in London. Hi baby. But what was I saying? But yeah, like she talked a lot about the living struggles of people in London, like the conditions that they were living in, the poor. And there's a lot of medical stuff too, which actually was very interesting. There's a doctor is one of the main characters, he's a surgeon, and I didn't really know about, like, how did they do surgery in this time period. I didn't even think about, like, people were getting cut open back then, because it seems kind of dangerous considering how far, you know, medical technology has come. To think about somebody getting sliced open in the 19th century is kind of crazy. So I liked that stuff that she put in there. But overall, yeah, it just took me a really long time to get through. I had to like go read other books, and I was just bummed because I wanted to like really love it. So if you read this, let me know what you thought, and I hope you enjoyed my attempt at, this is not a Victorian outfit, but whatever. It's frilly and I have a bone in my hair, so what do you want me to do? What more do you want? So I will probably be talking about Into the Wild next, because I'm reading that right now. I'm also reading 100 Years of Solitude, and then I gotta get another one done this month. This is becoming really difficult, this 4 books a month thing, but I'm doing it. Like, it's May and I'm still doing it. So this will be 20 books when this month is over, I think. It's tough. It means that, like, I'm not writing at all because all I'm doing is reading. I work and I read and I work out, and then I hang out with my cats and I eat. And that's really all I have time for. Because I'm not a really fast reader. I don't know if you guys know that, but I go back and read sentences over and over to make sure that I understood them. And it is so frustrating because it means that I get through books very slowly, and I can spend hours reading 30 pages. So I envy people that can just zoom through it and they know exactly what they're reading, they comprehend everything without like having to check and make sure that they got that fact right. Or like I'll go back 30, 40 pages and go, what was that person's name? Like, especially in nonfiction, I have to go, what was that date from 25 pages ago? Is that important right now? And it's not important, really, but I think it is. Anyway, I'm getting super rambly, so I'm just gonna let you go, and maybe this cat will want to say goodbye, or she'll want to put some holes in my shirt. She's caught. Okay, say bye-bye. Bye. See you next time.